Hi ladies, I am Ashley Centroni, independent artist with Seint. If you are here, it is likely because you just purchased your first ever order of Seint. So congratulations on taking the plunge. I hope that you absolutely love this product as much as I do. I just wanted to hop on here and kind of go through things with you as a first timer so you can set up your palette and sort of get going with your hack, so your highlight and contour. So I have here a new order. Okay, so basically you should have received a palette. Depending on your preference and the size of your order, your palette may be a different size than this. This is the standard, the smallest one for starting out. However, I typically do recommend sizing up, so yours may be larger than this one. However, it's going to look like this. This is a magnetic palette, and then your tins are going to come like this. So what you're going to do is you can go in, how I like to do it is I like to pop the lids off here and then go through and add them into my palette, starting with my main highlight. Then you can go through with your brightening highlight like so, and all you're doing is you're just popping these lids off and popping the product into the magnetic compact. So I like to keep my creams and my powders separate. So these are some creams here. I've got my main highlight, brightening highlight, contour, and a lip and cheek. This is kind of a basic starter palette. However, some people do like to swap out your brightening highlight and do an illuminator instead as your starter to hit all four parts of the hack. However, I personally really do find a benefit to the brightening highlight in most cases. So if you're just doing 4, this is typically what I recommend starting with. Now, if you did go ahead and treat yourself to some extras, like maybe a couple other lip and cheeks or some eyeshadows, setting powder, that sort of thing, you can go ahead. This here is an eyeshadow. You're going to pop it out exactly the same way and pop it into your compact. So typically I do like to keep my powders and my creams separate. So usually I will go ahead on my top layer and I will do all my creams for my hack, lip and cheeks and that sort of thing. Maybe my cream illuminators, and then on my lower level I will go ahead with eyeshadows, powder illuminators, setting powder, and that kind of thing. Because if you do have an incident like I did when my son knocked mine onto the ground and broke my illuminators, if you have your creams and your powders on the same level of your compact, those powders can really get in there on your cream. So it is nice to keep them separate for sure. So that's typically how I like to set up my compact, creams on top and my powders below. So now we're going to kind of just get to it. I'm going to go ahead and start with my contour well, depending on what brushes you're using, you can absolutely do this. You can do this with your fingers. You can do it with one brush. Typically I like to use my Dream Team, I call it. So I'm going to use that today. But if you only have one brush or just your fingers to start, that's okay too. If you aren't really sure exactly how to do it with the brushes that you have, just let me know and I can help walk you through it. So I'm going to go ahead with my detail brush to start. I'm only going to be doing the basic hack. I'm not going to be doing any sort of color correcting at all. I do have some areas that could probably use it, but to keep it nice and simple just for starting out, I'm just going to stick to the basics and my 4 colors. All right, so I'm going ahead, I'm feeling for that cheekbone, and I am hugging right up to it with my contour. You don't want to do the fishy face and place that too low or you're going to drag the shadows down on your face. So make sure you're really hugging up to those cheekbones to give yourself a little bit of a facelift. All right, now I like to take this across my forehead as well. Depending on your face shape, if you have a bit of a shallower forehead, you can absolutely skip this step. For me, I do like to kind of minimize my forehead just a little bit. These darker colors and the contour is going to absorb the light and kind of diminish those areas and take the attention away from them. And then the brighter colors that we're going to go ahead and put like under our eyes and whatnot, that's really going to help bring the attention and reflect the light and bring the attention to that area. So we're just going to go through with these darker colors along the perimeter of our face, like so. Help chisel that jawline just a little bit. I like to go through and find my shadow, my natural shadow behind my chin, and then just prolong that a little bit. Got a little bit of extra poof here, so it's nice to kind of diminish the appearance of that a little bit so it's less noticeable. So I do like to pull that contour color back and just kind of chisel my jawline just a little bit and reduce the poof, okay? Like so. All right, now another area that is optional, but it is kind of a fun place to contour depending on your needs is the nose. So I mean, I don't mind my nose. I do have a little bit of a hump through here, so it's nice to be able to streamline it just a little bit. But again, this is totally optional if you know, something to play around with if you want to, but no worries if not. So I'm going through with the multitasker brush. It's got such a nice sort of fine end on it that I find it works nicely for nose contour. However, if you don't have a ton of brushes, you can even go through and place your contour simply on your fingers, and then you can just run them down the sides. You don't want to go on too thick. We don't want like a big brown nose. We just want a nice sort of slender line to help kind of contour that down just a little bit and slenderize things just slightly. Now, if you have a crooked nose, perhaps from an accident or something like that, contour is also a great way to help straighten things out as well. All right. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to go through with my brightening highlight and brighten up down the center. So I'm just going to go through here. This one is my brightening highlight. It is a few shades, you guys. Then I went and dipped into my main highlight. Sorry. I'll give that a little wipe. Okay, I'm going to go into my brightening highlight, my lighter one that's a few shades lighter than my own natural skin tone. And I'm going to brighten right down the center of those two parallel lines and take the smaller end of my buff brush, and I'm going to go through between my eyes as well and then fan this out. So again, this is a few shades lighter than my own tone, my own natural skin tone, and this is really going to bring the attention to this area and highlight my eyes and bring that attention to the center of my face. All right, now going through here and brightening things up under the eyes a bit. Now you can see I do have quite veiny eyelids. So I'm going to go through and just color correct a little bit by applying a little bit of this brightening highlight. You don't need much product. In fact, you don't want much product. If you put too much on your eyelids, it will slip around, and you want to just keep it really nice and light just to help give a little bit of coverage to that veiny kind of area. And then you can also use this as a really nice template canvas, a nice clean canvas for applying your eyeshadow. All right, so I've gone through and I brightened the inside corner here of my eye as well as the outside corner. I've kind of popped that outside edge up a little bit to really kind of lift things a bit. Now, if you do have quite a bit of darkness under your eyes, you can go through and you can actually pull this all the way across, kind of in a bit of a pie shape like this. All right, and you're gonna go through and just fill that in. So it just depends on how much discoloration you have under your eyes. If you can get away with just the inside corner and the outside corner, then you can get a really nice lift to your eye by doing it that way. However, doing your pie shape and filling that in is a great option as well. The one thing you want to avoid doing is applying the highlight directly onto the bag without pulling it down. So you're not going to want to go through and just apply your highlight just right here on top of the bag, because if you do that and you do have a bit of a bag there, that's going to reflect the light and actually pull that forward and accentuate it more. So you want to make sure that you're bringing it down in a bit of a pie shape like this. All right, and for consistency's sake, I'm going to fill this side in too. Alrighty. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and flip this brush over. Sorry, you guys, it's getting hot in here. The sun's starting to come out. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over and go with my larger end of this same buff brush. And this time I am going to go into my main highlight. And basically, I'm going to apply this everywhere else. So everywhere that I don't already have my brightening highlight and my main highlight. And I'm just going to go through like so. And remember, a little goes a long ways. So when you first apply it onto your skin, you're going to just sort of spread that out and keep working it in. And then each time I kind of challenge you. So each time you apply your makeup, I want you to try and apply just a little bit less and a little bit less, and till you get kind of the hang of it and find that sweet spot. Because a lot of first timers, I was the same. We all kind of go in. We go in a little hot, we go in a little heavy on the product. And once you start playing with it a little bit, you will realize how little product you actually need. These little tins, they are small, but they are mighty. They will last you a very long time if you're applying just a nice light application and spreading that around and giving it a nice blend. Alrighty. I take this on the sides of my nose as well, just sort of up to that contour line. Okay, so I am going to just take an opportunity here real quick to set my eyelids with some setting powder. This is optional. However, if you do choose to do a little bit of highlight application on your eyelids, I definitely suggest either using a setting powder or going in with some powdered eyeshadow. If you're not going to do either of those things, then I would skip doing your eyelids. Otherwise, you will get a little bit of creasing like this. That is naturally going to happen just the way our eyes are open. That's going to happen. So, like I said, either if you're going to apply your highlight here, either go in with a little bit of our setting powder or just or a powdered eyeshadow, or just skip the color correcting on the eyelids altogether if you're not planning on applying any of the above. Alrighty. This is just giving, this just gives a really nice kind of canvas to work off of. I wanted to go in with some eyeshadow. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of blending. So this here is the blush and bronzer brush. It's a really nice one for blending. Another great one is the blend brush. But this one here, I have to say, this blush and bronzer is probably my favorite. The smaller end here is a little bit more dense. This is the blush end, but it works really nicely for blending. And then on this bigger end, this is your bronzer end. All right, so I'm just gonna go through and kind of in a dabbing motion, slight swirl, I'm gonna go through and give this a blend. All right. Just kind of bouncing through like so. All right. you want to make sure that you do not forget to blend your jawline here. So just, especially, yeah, with your contour, if you've applied any contour here, but just in general, even with your highlight, you want to make sure you're blending it down a little bit down to your neck so you don't end up with any harsh contour lines or makeup lines here. Like so. All right. Now, when we are going through here, I'm just going to give this a quick swirl here. Blur the lines between my highlight and my contour. Like so. All right. Now, when blending your contour on your cheekbones here, just hugging up to your cheekbones, you want to make sure that you are blending upwards. Just as we spoke about before, you want to make sure that you're not dragging the shadows down your face. That can age us a little bit. So you want to really kind of pick those up. And when you're blending upwards, so we're not dragging those shadows down. Like so. Now, the beauty of creams is that they are very forgiving, okay? So if you are looking and you're like, ooh, my one cheekbone, I contoured way higher than the other one and I'm looking quite lopsided. If that's the case, if in doubt, just blend it out and give it another go, okay? It's not like a powder where you put it on and it is what it is. If you screwed up, you're kind of stuck with it. In this case, you can just blend that out and give it another go. If you found that you overblended by accident, add a little bit more back in and super forgiving. So not to stress about it. Creams can really be your best friend. All right, so then I'm just gonna give my nose a little blend as well. Truly my favorite for blending nose contour is this brush here. This is the smudge brush. You can make it work with your larger brush, but you just have a little bit more control. So as you build up your collection, this is a really nice one for blending out nose contour, if that is something that is of interest to you, contouring the nose a bit more and the lips. So this is a great option for that. However, you can absolutely do it with your brush. You just have to be a little bit more careful because you're working in a bit of a tighter space. Alrighty. Perfect. Okay, so right now, I love bronzer, okay? Right now would be an amazing time to go ahead and apply some bronzer. Well, I guess that's not really cheating. It's not part of my little 4 pieces, but I am going to add a little bit because I do love bronzer, so why not? So I like to keep it on the edge of my compact. So when I pick it up, instead of dipping right into it like I dip my other creams, I like to swirl this one on when I pick it up onto my brush. And then I'm going just over top of my contour lines here, on my cheeks, as well as across my forehead. Basically, I'm going for anywhere that the sun would naturally hit me. You can even take a little bit over your nose if you like. Get that little bit of a sun-kissed glow going. And this bronzer is great as well for blending down your neck and kind of closing the gap a little bit. Sometimes our neck and our chest and our face don't always match perfectly depending on, you know, our skincare and our sunscreen routine and what we do for work and our uniform even. It can make a difference. So using a little bit of bronzer is a great way to help kind of blend things together. All right, so I did cheat there, add a little bronzer, but honestly, more than likely, you probably got the Bella bronzer deal anyways, because I always recommend it. That it comes with this brush, and it is one of probably my very favorite product little combo on the site. So, all right, now I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of contour around my lips as well. This is the multitasker too, but you could even go through and just put a little bit on with your finger. All right. So I'm not going all the way around. I'm just more focusing to the center under my lip here. And then again, up top. All right, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna lightly blend this. Give it a tap. All right, so this is going to help give the appearance of a bit of a fuller lip, okay? And then we're gonna go through and add a bit of lip and cheek. All right, so using the same end that we blended with, I'm gonna go into my lip and cheek. I'm gonna apply this just over top of my contour line. Not quite like right in the center here, but a little bit higher up. Just gonna help give me a little bit more dimension here. And a little to the lips. All right. This color here is Tropicana, but you can use anything. Personally, I really do like a matte finish or a satin finish on the cheeks. And then I like to finish with a gloss on the lips because I'm a glossy girl. So Tropicana is quite a nice color because it's a semi-gloss, so it's great for starting out. If you're just starting with one, it can be quite a nice option. But otherwise, I like keeping, you know, 3 in my compact that I can sort of layer and mix and create a whole bunch of different looks with. So that is always a great option too. Now, if we're gonna go in and add a little bit of illuminator, which is part of our hack, we have creams and powders. The creams are a little bit more subtle. That's what I'm gonna use here. And I'm just gonna go through and apply a little bit to the top of my cheekbones. If you want something that packs a bit more punch, go with a powder. They are beautiful, absolutely. But more of an everyday kind of subtle look is the creams are great. You can take this down the center of your nose too if you like. Add a little bit to the Cupid's bow, even to the center of your lip to increase your pout a little. Honestly, this stuff is like the icing on the cake. You can literally put it anywhere you want a little bit of extra shimmer. Okay, and then the last thing I'm gonna do here, this is how our sponges come in this little tin like this. You're gonna pop it out. It's gonna start out small like this, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna get it nice and wet, really saturated with water to get it really nice and puffy. And then you're gonna wring it out and roll it in a towel. So when you're ready to use it, it should not feel wet. It should just feel really nice, light and fluffy. And then you're gonna go through and you're just going to use it to pick up any excess product that can get trapped in any of those fine lines and creases. If you over apply a little bit, add a little bit too much product, this is gonna clean that up a bit and help give everything a final blend. It's also a great one for applying your setting spray. You can use your setting spray as a primer at the beginning, as well as a setting spray at the end. So you can squirt it directly onto your face, but that honestly kind of gives me anxiety. So I like to just spray it right into my sponge and then go through like so. Now, if you're using the setting powder, it's always a great option as well. If you have a little bit oilier skin and you need that little bit of extra setting, or if you have more of a preference for a matte finish, you can go in and do a little bit of setting powder as well. Okay. Oh, but I will say, if you're doing setting powder, make sure you don't use the same brush as you're applying your creams with, because you will kind of muck up your setting powder a little bit. So you want to make sure you have at least a designated end on your brush that you like to use just for setting powder. And then that way you're not kind of getting a bit of a cream film on top. Anyhow, I hope that was helpful. Just to kind of give you an idea of how to sort of set up your palette and do your initial hack. So if you have any questions at all, as always, pop me a message. You can, depending on where you're seeing this, you can go ahead. If you're already on my website, thank you so much for hopping by. If not, please make sure you check out my website at aecauraallure.com. And on there, there are other videos and sort of blog tutorials and things like that too. And if you are seeing this, but you don't have your makeup yet, I also have a color match form on there where you can send me your, sort of fill out the form, send me your selfies, and I will put together your recommendations, kind of a virtual palette that'll look just like this, and I will send that across to you to take a peek at. Anyhow, ladies, thank you so much. I will chat with you all soon. Bye.